Bernadette McClelland here, and welcome back. Today, in the 9 story modes of the story selling philosophy, we are going to continue looking at the internal stories that we tell ourselves. And the second story after identity is authority. And I want you to consider for a moment that we are driving along a country road, and we're in the car and the winds are blowing in our hair and we've got the music going and we're laughing and we're talking away. And then all of a sudden from behind, we see this car zooming up towards us, lights flashing, sirens going. What do? Well, our heart starts beating faster. We'll probably go bright red. We'll sit there and probably pump the brakes, and we'll be thinking to ourselves, is the seatbelt on? Are we speeding? What the heck's going on? Then that car passes you. Why do we do that? Why do we do that when we know that we're not doing anything wrong? So I want you to consider for a moment the part that authority plays in us today as adults in business and how it played with us as we were children growing up. You just need to think about it. Children should not be, should be seen and not heard. We have to respect everybody in authority. It doesn't matter what their label is. School teacher, doctor, police, priest, CEO. And it doesn't matter if that person is younger than you or not. So ingrained in us is a belief system that is all around authority. And it's really interesting because in the 1960s, a guy called Stanley Milgram, he was a social psychologist, and he did this obedience study, what he called an obedience study. And the amount of people that had the inability to say no to somebody in authority. And it was either out of fear or out of a desire to do the right thing. And so even if you were acting against your better judgment. And so a few years later, another guy called Daniel Stein, he also did a study, and it was on people, and their beliefs around authority. And just under 25% of people in any community have a fear of somebody in authority. And so I'm going to overlay that into the business world today, into people who are in sales roles, but also in sales leadership roles. And so how does this impact on us? Well, you just think about making appointments with C-levels. Think about pushing back. So if you're with a buyer and they say something that, perhaps you disagree with, or they have an objection, and you don't have the ability to push back because you have this belief that because they're in a position of authority, you can't do that. This impacts so much about a salesperson's go-to-market strategy, around the conversations that you're having with buyers, around your ability or inability to ask what you might think are the hard questions, when in actual fact, they are logical business questions. So I'm going to get you to give some consideration to a couple of points around, some of the areas that you may want to address to actually overcome that limiting belief you have around authority. You need to understand that there are different postures, that there are different roles people play, and that, you can shift. Do you have to change who you are? Absolutely not. But there are certain positions, certain postures that you need to take on. You need to also get very clear around the way that you speak, your tonality and how you show up. And do you command a certain amount of respect, or is your tone one that doesn't command respect? Looking at, do you have the ability to communicate with really strong assumptive statements, or are you always somebody who's asking questions? And what is your positioning? How do you actually position yourself so that you differentiate yourself? So all of those things that we address in my book, but that these things all fall under the internal story that you tell yourself around people in authority, and how you interpret that, and as a result, the impact that that has on you when you do have these conversations. So there's a lot to unpack here. We do it very, very succinctly, and it makes absolutely logical sense. And so I'm going to encourage you to consider your beliefs around authority. I want you to register at www.shiftanddisrupt.com for the launch of the book and the resources that I will be giving after the fact. Follow me on YouTube, please, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel at The Story Seller. On that note, have an amazing day, and I look forward to sharing the next video with you very, very shortly, which is the third internal story around money. So on that note, have an amazing day, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye.